What's going on? How y'all doing? So this is gonna be a last of this Laker nonsense, and I'm gonna get this out the way. My thoughts on LeBron winning another ring, him, Luka, and Darwin Ham got the edge over JJ Redick. Let me start in sequential order. LeBron James ain't winning another ring, not by these circumstances. They got to do too much. I watch these heads on sticks crying on TV, telling us, yeah, of course he can come back and win, and yes, and yes, and yes. No, he can't. He doesn't move the needle anymore. He doesn't have the ability just based on his own accord. And not just, he's 40 years old, and yet his stats look good, but the differential says differently. He had a big time minus with his impact on the court, and it ain't the same. At the best, he has to be the third best option with an opportunity to have an outer body night. He's kind of like in James Harden situation with the Clippers. He can have nights where he can look great and play good. He can't be your main option. He can't be your main one or two because it's not working. It ain't worked with AD in the last, and it didn't work with Luka. It because the defense is inconsequential, and he's at the end of the ropes. They just don't want to tell the truth because they're still trying to use him as the money boat. They still trying to ride him, but it ain't gonna happen. Too many things would have to happen right now, and he just ain't in that mix. So no, I don't see no more rings for LeBron James, and I wish they would stop this nonsense because barring something of substantial circumstances, it ain't gonna happen. I just don't see it with this. Then we get to him and Luka. It don't really work. You can't have two guys on the perimeter. You can't have two guys ball handling like that, and someone has to defer. And the problem that I see with that, with the lack of defense and the lack of what I say a point guard and a low post game, is getting in the way. So I don't see that this working. That's why I think they got to build around Luka if they want Luka to stay. If they want Luka to be a rental player, then this is gonna be all for naught. I think he's gonna, of course it was about getting booties in the seats because it is a business. That's the main reason why they did it. Anthony Davis did not sell jerseys and he had no hype. But having said that though, he was a better fit. I think they go 6, maybe 7, and maybe win that series against the Timberwolves with AD. Whereas with Julius Randle's situation in a couple. So I think it's not going to work. They got to do a major overhaul. And like I said, LeBron's got to settle for being a real second or third option, mainly third option at this stage. So that's why I see with that. So that's my take on that. And they need to stop overhyping that because Luka got exposed. Nico Harrison looks like a genius if you look at it because as good as Luka is on offense, he sucks on defense. And he's wimpy from Popeyes. You remember how wimpy like to eat burgers all the time? Well, that's Luka. Burger eating and he got flipped. He got flipped, and you can't have that. Not with these circumstances. The teams are exposing you. They picked his pockets, and he got nothing to offer. And let me tell you something. You take some of that 27, 28, or that 30-point average and all of the numbers that he puts up for, lose about 6 of that for some good defense, and then you got something. But if he don't get covered, they are exposed bad. So that's a problem. And then we get to the Darwin Ham versus J.J. Redick. I'm tired of these people talking about J.J. Redick had a great season. No, you didn't. You coaching the Lakers. You were You said all your time calling the old school plumbers and gardeners and milkmen and cable repairmen and dishwashers, and you just dissed everybody like you were going to come in and be Pat Riley like you saw something. And then your ignorant behind got caught running 5 men for the whole fourth quarter and wore them out. And they lost respect for you. And this is on LeBron James's head. Yeah, I see it. When someone makes a move in a unit and it ain't felt, and the Lakers collectively, who you gonna attract with your bench when your coach does a boneheaded move like that? And I'm gonna tell you something, that kid Connect, who looked pretty good before that fake trade didn't go through for Williams, ain't gonna be the same. So they gonna lose him. It's just something about communication where you show that you can't. I keep hearing Nick Wright always talking about how Darwin Ham looked lost, and then I had to hear I forgot who else was talking about it on. They was taking shots at Darwin Ham. Darwin Ham got that team to the Western Conference Final 2 years ago, and they played some defense. Now he had to deal with a snitch like D'Angelo Russell with all his behind, who's somewhere in Washington right now, and they were eliminated as soon as he got there. But he got used up by J.J. Redick. But I'm gonna tell you something. J.J. Redick made some of the worst decision making I've ever seen a playoff coach. Let me tell you something. There's two things. You can't get excited about a 50-game third-place seeding when you give that kind of result as a head coach for the Lakers. That just don't fly. He looked out of his elements. He looked out of his league, and he looked like he didn't belong. That was bad coaching. Call it what it is. Don't sit here and sugarcoat and say, "Oh, he did." Because what did he do more than Darwin did? He lost 4-1, and he lost games that he couldn't finish with Mr. Analytics, Mr. I got a high IQ, Mr. I think I'm going to show him what I'm made of. He ain't do nothing. And I'm going to tell you something, behind that game 4, he lucky. If LeBron James didn't have so much riding on that turkey, this cat would be fired for that. What just happened? That's fireable offense. Because you cannot burn the pedal and saying your best player is 40 years old, you got to run the whole game. And then you don't give no blow. And then you don't utilize, even if Jarvis Hayes doesn't fit, he doesn't fit. You can't possibly give up the center position and let Rudy Gobert look like Wilt O'Neal, think like Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal. I think you got 27-24. You know, you didn't do what you did. You thought you were going to double and Edwards, and it backfired. So, you know, J.J. Redick has to bear. J.J. Redick and LeBron James, to me, bear the most responsibility for this season, point blank, you know. Because I'm going to tell you something, all that flopping and acting and crying, I got all those free throw shots and all that, but you ain't got no juice in you. And LeBron's old. Body gave up. He flopped. He was crying in game 1 for a 3-point attempt and got that butt tore up. And he's done. So unless he can find himself to land on the Celtics, land on OKC, or go back to Cleveland and talk about Big Dan Gilbert, like, Master, please take me back. I'm ready to come back home. He ain't getting no more run, because those are the kind of teams he'd have to play for that are substantiated, that would have the guard-led balance. And it ain't happening in LA. And listen, that third seed was fool's gold. Their third seed is kind of like Houston being second seed. And then in the gap between first and third is like night and day. So that's the reality. And I'm tired of hearing these heads on sticks sit up there lying. The man's going to be in his 23rd year next year. He going to cry back. Of course he going to come back. But he ain't winning. They stat padding and they just putting pieces. They don't have a championship situation. You know. Had they been able to keep AD and got Luka, then I would, you know. But they don't have a championship situation. They have what we call role play. It looks good in name and you can sell it, but it's not what I call a legit team that can win. So stop this nonsense about LeBron being able to contend for ring. The old flat and a third option at best at this stage. That's the facts. He should be trading places with Austin Reeves, but Austin Reeves got to be their second best option. And he proved at most he was a 4th or 5th. He was flat. J.J. Redick got out coached, and Luka eating all them wimpy cheeseburgers didn't bring nothing. So they're going to have to really work on that. But that should be the end of hearing. And I'm with Charles Barkley. That nightmare of this is over, and don't want to hear any more about this janky, overrated team. And a guy who, a great player, but it's been well overblown. It ain't happening no more. Not the way that looked. He'd have to go somewhere and get behind the other guy, behind the other guy. Like I said, LeBron at this stage at best third option. And like I said before, he should take a page from Tom Brady. Just because you can, don't mean you should. You should seriously consider getting out that league. Because I don't see another ring for LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, or Steph Curry based on what I'm seeing. I think the new guard is taking over, and you're seeing guys like Giannis having a hard time get back to the mix. So what you think is going to happen for cats that is 15 plus years in the league, especially the way this league is going? Anyway, let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another shit. If you like it, the membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out. Peace.